Well, welcome 613 golfers to another episode of 613 Golfer podcast. As always, I am your host, Jeff Potter, publisher of Flagstick Golf Magazine. This episode of 613 Golfer is brought to you by Ping Golf Canada. Now, let me tell you something. Ping has this great lineup of G425 irons, hybrids, fairways, and drivers. But let me tell you something about the driver. I've had the opportunity finally to hit this driver. My younger son has a 410, loves it, but I had a chance to hit a 425, and I got to tell you, if you haven't had a chance to get out and hit this driver yet, you have to go and do it. If you can't go and do it, go and check out ca.ping.com, and you can learn more about the driver, but you really got to go and get this thing into your hands. There's demo days all over the place. You can get to retail now and try it out. Go to your local pro that carries Ping, try it on driving range. I know you won't be disappointed. Lots of great drivers out there, but this one, G425 driver, amazing. Okay, now I got to stop taking these extra little times off in between podcasts because I get my mojo going and then I take some time off. But we did just finish publishing another digital edition of Flagstick Golf Magazine. Loved it. It's great. There's a putter feature in there that I know you'll just really enjoy reading. Links to the actual manufacturers of the putters and details and great photos. Lots of good stuff across the Canada golf checkup. I think you'll love to read that too. It's pretty amazing stuff and lots of other wrap up stuff. So go and check out flagstick.com, check out the digital edition of Flagstick, and you'll know why I took a little extra time between podcasts to get going with you guys again. So look, I'm really excited to be doing this episode. There's a lot of great stuff that we're gonna dive into. My good friend Scott MacLeod, associate publisher of Flagstick, is going to be with us a little bit later on after I'm done my little intro, my little monologue, my little whatever you want to call this. But he's going to jump in with us and we're going to talk a little tournament golf, news and notes, stuff from the PGA Ottawa, Play Junior Golf Tour, OVGA wrap-ups, the city and districts, like lots of great stuff. Plus, to get my favorite thing to talk about, my favorite tournament golf event of the year in the region is the Intersectionals, and we're going to talk about that with Scott a little bit later on. But first, happy Open Championship Week, everybody. My favorite major of all of them is the Open Championship. But I do have a little pet peeve about the Open Championship. But because this is the 613 Golfer podcast, and this is about golf within the region, I'm not even going to get into all of this. I'm just saying it's my favorite. There's some things about the Open Championship I'd love to see happen more often. The weather, I would love for the weather to be ridiculously bad so that we see some carnage on these golf courses over there instead of seeing it bright and sunny and beautiful and these guys shooting 5 and 6 under par. It's nuts. They're the best golfers on the planet and they can do this, but we need a little bit of Mother Nature to get in there and teach them a lesson once in a while. Anyways, love the Open Championship, which brings me to a point. You like links golf? Have you ever played links golf? Most of you probably have never played links golf, and I got to tell you, a links golf course is not a golf course that has no trees. Okay, so I've heard that a lot. Oh, I play links golf. It's wide open. No trees, lots of bunkers. No, that's not links golf. Links golf is by definition any golf course that separates an ocean or the sea, because links golf is European, obviously, the sea from the town. So it's the piece of property that runs right between the town and the sea. It's a separation. That's what's a link between the sea and the town. Around here, we don't have anything like that. Okay, but the closest thing that we do have, which is, and it's very close to being exactly what links golf is the Iroquois Golf Club down in Iroquois, down the 416, hang a little bit of a right, and or a little bit of a left, I guess, if it's the 416, Highway 31 for me, because I'm close there. But anyway, Iroquois, very much, it's wide open. There's a few trees there, but trees have got nothing to do with it. There's trees on links golf courses. They just generally don't grow there because it's hard to. But lots of bunkers, lots of long grass. That's a links golf course. So you want to play links golf around here in the 613, go to Iroquois, play the Iroquois golf course. Now, Morrisburg Golf Course is also very much a links golf, a little, not quite the same, but very, very, very close. It's a 9-holer, nice little golf course. Big men's night. I think they call it the Bull Eye. But anyway, you can check out that golf course. And if you like the link style golf courses, we do have a few of them. The Predator golf course at Greyhawk is what they call a Scottish moorland style golf course. It was designed by Takahashi. That plays very much on the ground, pop bunkers. If you've never played that, it's a club link course, so you might have to play with a guest at some point. And the Cloverdale Links is kind of got that sort of flavor to it. Again, it's not a links golf course by definition. It's a links style golf course. So you can play your ball pretty much on the ground there a lot. It's not sort of a links golf course that you have to fly everything into. So there you have it. Not really a rant, but I do have a rant. I'll tell you something. I have played all of about 4 rounds of 9-hole rounds of golf this year. And of the 4 9-hole rounds of golf that I've had the opportunity to play, loved it, lots of fun. Played with my younger son, all 4 rounds. And I always like playing with my family and with my kids. But slow play, I have to tell you, folks, and this is, let me preface this right off the bat. This is not a women slow. This is not a men slow. This is not a senior slow. This is not a junior slow. This is just in general, because in 4 rounds of golf, I have gotten it from all sides of the spectrum with respect to who is slow. But the general uniqueness or sameness, I guess, to the slow play, it's common. And let me tell you, I am literally tired of people saying, 2 hours, 2.5 hours for a round of golf is okay. It's not okay. It's not okay even on a day when a golf course is jam-packed busy. The tee times are spread out enough that a round of golf doesn't need to take 2 to 2.5 hours to play 9 holes. 4.5, 4:45, 5 hours. We can put 144 golfers in the Flagstick Open at Equinel, and we can put them in 10 minutes apart, and we have players that are plus indexes all the way to 19 indexes playing in that tournament, and not one single round of golf in that tournament takes 4.5 hours. Every single round is less than 4.5 hours. Less than in tournament golf when slow play is at its highest, because everybody is grinding over every putt and every shot and every yardage. So that should tell you something. And that should tell you something, because it tells you that it doesn't matter how good a golfer you are, because we have players in that tournament that shoot well over 100, depending on the flight that they're in or the division that they're in. So don't tell me that it's because I'm not a good golfer. It has nothing to do with how good a golfer you are. It has to do with how you play when you're out there. And this is the frustrating part for me. So I will give you an example to kind of bring it into perspective for you. I'm standing on the tee with my son, Brandon, and we're waiting to hit. And there's a group in the fairway or on the hole that's just hit their tee shots, okay? Now, they didn't all hit their tee shots to the same spot in the fairway. They're all in 4 different spots. 2 of these people are in a cart together, and 2 of these people are walking. On all 4 next shots, the 2 people in the cart drive over to the ball of one of the people that are walking, and the 2 people that are in the cart sit in the cart beside the person that is one of the people that is walking that's not hitting, and they all stand there. All 3 of them stand there and watch that person hit their shot. Then that person puts their club in their bag, and then they all in the cart drive over to the other person's ball, and then the 2 people walking walk over there and stand there while they hit their shot. And then after that, they go to the next person's ball. They congregate around the one person that's hitting their shot until all 4 have hit their shots, and then they repeat the process on the next shot. They're chipping. Once they're around the green, they're kind of on their own ball. But then as they get closer and closer to the hole, they're all standing around the hole like this big party about to happen when the ball goes in the hole. Okay? Now, why does this bother me? Because you play your ball, you go to your ball, You stand by your ball till it's your turn to hit. You assess what you need to do, what club you want to hit. You do whatever setup it is you want to set up, and you hit your shot. Then you start walking to your next ball, and you stop walking when you get even with the next person hitting their shot. You don't walk over to their ball and stand around them like you're sitting in the grandstands watching a PGA Tour event waiting for this person to hit. You don't even have to play ready golf. Now, ready golf is, if I'm at my ball ready to hit, I hit. Even if I'm not technically the next guy or next girl or next person that is supposed to hit their shot. You just hit because you're ready to hit. You go. But if you're not going to play ready golf, at least go to your ball and wait for it to be your turn to hit and then hit. Don't go to your friend's ball and stand there and wait for them to hit if you haven't hit your shot yet. Like, this is pace of play 101, people. Okay? Pace of play 101. Now, I understand there's a lot of new golfers right now, especially in the last couple of years. There's a lot of new golfers playing, and they're learning their habits from people who have been playing. And if the people who have been playing's habits are to do that, then the new people are going to do it too. And then it just keeps escalating until everybody's doing the same damn thing. And we got 5-hour and 5.5-hour rounds of golf and 2.5-hour 9-hole rounds of golf. Unacceptable. Golfers of the 613 golfers. Unacceptable. We cannot play golf that way. It will turn too many people away from golf because they'll realize that I don't want to play, now that I have other things that I can do, I don't want to spend 2.5 hours out here playing 9 holes of golf. Like, I don't want to stand around in 38-degree humidity or, whatever. God, now I'm upset. I'm upset. Okay. I don't want to be upset, but today was a little bit of a rant to get things going, because this is like, I've only played 4 9-hole rounds and all 4 of them have been exactly the same thing. It's just so frustrating. I just want to go out and play my 9 holes and go home or whatever I'm allowed to do, sit on the patio if I'm allowed to do that. That's what I want to do. And I don't want to do this slow play stuff. Like, if you hit it 100 times in 1 hole, it's not going to, it doesn't take any longer than if you hit it 3 or 4. You're just hitting it. But you're constantly moving forward. So it's not about how good you are. Let me just, once again, get that straight. It doesn't matter how good you are. It matters how you play. Play quickly. You don't have to run, but play quickly. That's it. No more rant. Okay, now, exciting stuff before we're going to have to take a break in a minute here. Exciting stuff before we get to having Scott come on, and Scott and I are going to have a chat. I love it when Scott comes on, because Scott and I have been best friends for a very long time. And when we get together on this podcast, and even when we're just chatting, I mean, Scott and I talk on the phone. I'm driving around. I got the hands free going, and we're just chatting. 45 minutes to an hour of conversation, depending on where I'm driving or what I'm doing or what he's doing, and we're just talking about whatever. So it's always great when Scott comes on, because we just talk, and that's when you get a good podcast, is when you're just having to chat. No scripts, no pieces of paper, no scripts. What did I just say there? I was going to say, oh yeah, no scripts. Okay. So one of the other really awesome things about this week and is phase 3. Ontario is entering into phase 3. Now, what does that mean? I have no idea. As a golfer, I'm really not sure. I've seen all the notices and stuff as to, one thing I do know is no more pool noodles in the hole. I mean, goodbye pool noodles. Hello, clickety clack of the ball hitting the bottom of the cup. An exciting sound when you make that putt and you get that sort of, you get this sound. The ball hits the hole. It's the greatest sound. Par, birdie, bogey, doesn't matter. Once the ball's in the hole, you know that it's over. No more lifters. Most golf courses won't have the lifters in anymore. Now, every golf course is going to have their own set of rules as far as that. Some are saying leave the flag in. Some are saying, yeah, you take the flag out. Whatever the case may be, it's a sign of some sense of normalcy returning to the game that we love to play. So phase 3 is important from that perspective. Getting to go in the clubhouse after your round, most golf courses that I've seen documentation from, that's happening. Patios opening up a little bit more. Limited. The limit is sort of, only being allowed 15 minutes ahead or 20 minutes ahead. And a lot of courses, they're lifting that, being able to be on the putting green for an hour before your tee time and being able to go to the range after your round to work on your swing a little bit. Most golf courses are relaxing that rule as well. So just that sense of, one of the things that I always love to do when I play is I just like to go and play. Now I'm waiting for that moment when I don't have to book my tee time at my golf course. I'm kind of a 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, 9-hole golfer. That's what I like to do. I'm very busy during the day. I don't have a lot of time to play 18 holes anymore. When I do, great, but I like to have my dinner and then grab my clubs and go and play 9 holes. That's hard to do right now because you have to book your tee time. And I don't always know when, if the golf course's last tee time is at 6 o'clock and I'm playing golf at 6:30, I can't play. So I'm waiting for that opportunity when I can just grab my clubs and go to the course and play, or grab it seems like it's getting closer and closer to that. And maybe that is part of the phase 3. It doesn't really say that it is, but some golf courses might be allowing that to happen. But hitting a bunker shot, people. No more picking your ball up and placing it in the bunker and hitting your shot because the bunker can't be raked. The rakes are going back in. You got to hit that ball from the bunker the way it is. So those fried eggs are back. Fried egg lies, tough lies, sitting in I guess in a footprint. That was a rule that was changed. If you're in someone's footprint, you can lift your ball up, rake underneath, and put your ball back down. But anyway, you get a bad line to bunker, you get a bad line to bunker. So that stuff's coming back. So it's very exciting. We're entering phase 3. No more pool noodles. The rakes are back. We're hitting bunker shots. We're not having to be at the golf course like just before we tee off. So, folks, it's exciting. We're getting some normal back. So, look at little recap. Pick up the pace. Links Golf. There's only a couple around here. Check out Iroquois. Check out Morrisburg. If you like Linksy style, Predator at Greyhawk, if you can get on there, or Cloverdale Links. Great little links style golf courses. But we got to take a break. When we come back, Scott MacLeod, my buddy, my best friend, associate publisher of Flagstick Golf Magazine, is going to join us, and we're going to talk about tournament golf, and we're going to talk about the Intersectionals. So stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
At Ping, we're an engineering company. Success is measured in the lab and on your scorecard. We focus on results, your results. In the G425 Max driver, that means more time in the fairway, less time in the rough. It means longer drives, shorter approach shots, and fewer putts. The new G425 drivers, taking MOI to the max. Get fit today.
Visit ca.ping.com to learn more about G425.
All right, and as promised, 613 Golfers, I said I would have him here, and he's here. Scott MacLeod, my best friend, my buddy, and the associate publisher of Flagstick Golf Magazine. Good day, Scott MacLeod. How are you?
Good. Yourself? What's going on?
I'm awesome. It's Open Championship week. I told everybody it's Open Championship week. Not everybody's, but my favorite major of the year.
Mine
Love
too.
it. Loved playing over there when we went to Scotland. I fell in love with that style of turf, that style of golf. And I kind of said right off the top, we don't really have in this region any links, true links golf courses. But I did say Iroquois is probably about the closest thing that we have to a links golf course. And even other than its position,
that's a stretch.
Other than its location relative to a town and a body of water, it's still not really links golf. But
it's really about that turf, right? I mean, that's the big thing. From the first time that you got on the ground in Scotland, got onto a golf course, and your first thing to get out on wasn't a links course, it was Glen Eagles. But even walking out on that turf and seeing the difference of it, as we played Panmure, for an example, over by Carnoustie, you got the feel for that, of how that firm turf is and how it lends itself to the creativity of lots of shots. And then Gullen obviously was fantastic for us as well in that playground. But yeah, certainly, if you've had that experience, it gives you a whole different perspective on watching the Open this week.
Well, it wasn't even really until we played at North Barrack
Yes.
that truly did I understand how that turf what that turf really meant when it was like we're staying at the Marine Hotel.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was like pouring rain. Absolutely.
It's a little blurry for me. I was kind of sick.
Yeah, you
strep
did
throat.
have strep throat.
I was a little ill, but anyways.
But it was raining so badly the night before we played, and I remember laying in my room that night, listening to the rain and going, oh, Frank, this is our last round of the trip. It's our last round of the trip. We had the match. Yep. The match was scheduled, and I'm thinking we're not going to play.
Yeah.
And you get up the next day and it's blustery out and it's not raining, but it's really windy, and you get out and it's dry as a freaking bone.
Yeah.
And it's like, how in the world is this that dry when it rains so much? But that's, like I said, that's the magic that's the turf. It just, drains everything so well.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And, I think everybody, as more people watch the Open and watch more of it, they start to get an appreciation for it. Again, you're right. It's not everybody's favorite major. A lot of people would like, some people like watching the NA on the women's side or watching the Masters or whatever, your choice, whatever the case may be. But yeah, for us, the Open is the one. And I joked last night on Twitter. I put a tweet out and said, not that I'm an Open fan, but I have at least 2 pitchers of the claret jug in my kitchen. So that's usually an indicator if someone comes in the house. So and one happens to be holding the claret jug.
That's right. I think I got the replica in some box.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah.
Still, because all the stuff from the old house when we moved over, I used to have the golf room.
Right.
And everything was on display, and I had the little miniature replica of the claret jug, and all that stuff is, I don't know.
And that was really cool that, you got that in St. Andrews and the shop next to Octorloni's, and it's really cool. It's, it's silver and it's got the replica, and that's the kind of thing. That's one of the things maybe I regret not getting when we were there, and maybe we need another trip back.
I'm thinking we need another trip back.
All right. I like that.
I'm game. I'm a gamer. Perfect. Now I also, Scott, so I also kind of got into a little bit of slow play, ranting at the beginning, and we don't need to go down the road. I think I might have said enough for both of us, but
all right, fair enough.
Just so you know, in case it comes up in conversation with people, say, hey, did you hear what your buddy there, Jeff, had to say about slow play? And if you tone it down just a little bit, but I escalated a little bit just because I'm the whole concept of the pack mentality drives me nuts. Where it's like, okay, there's 4 balls out there, they're all in different spots. Why isn't everybody at their own ball?
Yeah.
Why is everybody standing beside one guy while he hits a shot, or one girl or one junior, whatever? And I said it's not a gender thing. It's got nothing to do. It's not a good golf or bad golfer thing. It's just it's the mentality. And I said a lot of new golfers have taken up the game, and they're learning these bad habits from some people who've been playing the game that way for a long time. And it's just like, okay, look, at 2.5 hours for 9 holes of golf. It's too long.
And I think part of the responsibility for that, and we've discussed that before, lays on, I'm not at a club, obviously, but, other PGA professionals that are at clubs and people that are at clubs to, find ways to help educate these golfers, to help them along. And I think in doing that, it'll actually, help out a lot of other things at a club. And, it's one thing to sit there and go, man, I'm getting a lot of complaints about slow play. And it's another thing to recognize, okay, what can I do as a club and as a staff person to educate people and help them along and help them understand it a little bit more. And again, it just doesn't come naturally. I mean, how many sports do we go from doing nothing to all of a sudden going full bore in the sport? We always have a transition of how we start and how we learn. And I've seen it over the years where people have said, hey, you know what, I just want to learn how to play the game, but I'm not necessarily want to learn about swing technique. I want to learn out, where do I stand? Where do I put the cart? What's the etiquette or whatever? And I think those things, if they were taught more or integrated more into beginning golf programs, while they don't seem that as exciting as a golf swing or a putting stroke or a bunker shot, I think they're important aspects for people to learning the game, and not just kids, adults too, coming to the game.
Hey, maybe there's not to put any work on the plate of you and Joe, because I know you got more than enough. Maybe there's a feature editorial piece that can be done sometime down the road, where we, cover shot. It's a blackboard with golf education written across in chalk across the blackboard there, and it's a big feature about educating people about exactly what you just talked about. It's like, you're new to the game, this is what you need to knows.
That's something definitely something worth exploring for sure.
Good Lord, I just made work. A make work project.
Thank you.
So listen, Scott.
Yes.
Before we get into talking about tournament stuff, because I know that's our bread and butter.
Is there tournaments actually going on right now?
Yeah. I don't. I'm not aware of what you and Joe are doing. One of the things that's really cool that another one of those things I jumped off the top of the show about was the fact that we're entering stage 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, I kind of joked, no more pool noodles, bunker rakes are back, this kind of thing. But maybe you've divin. Why did I divin? What the hell is divin? Is that even a thing?
That is a word that comes up when you're up too early to watch the Open Championship. Our tongues don't work, our brains don't work, but it's worth it.
You have looked into
correct. There you go.
The details of some of the stage 3 plan for golf courses. So what could you tell? What can we tell people about stage 3 and what it really truly does mean to golfers and to the golf courses?
Yeah, I mean, it's relative to everything that sort of goes on elsewhere in society when you start to look at things like, indoor dining and less restrictions on patio dining and so forth. I mean, those are going to be important things for the golf courses. Pro shops obviously being able to be open. We still have our restrictions as far as physical distancing is concerned, but, it's going to allow for more retail, more of dining, food and beverage options, meeting spaces. People are allowed to have, permitted to have indoor things. So you're going to have some meetings. You're going to be able to have, some different types of, weddings, for an example, which, obviously is a revenue for golf courses. So those are some of the key things to start out. And then the other things that people start to look forward to are, golf clinics can obviously expand out a little bit more. And then the things that we notice the most, which is obviously what a lot of people have been talking about in the last little while, are those things that you're talking about, the pool noodles, the flag sticks, being able to put rakes back in bunkers. Now, not every club is going to do it. There's a lot of clubs that are actually discussing whether, how they will address it and how they will go about it. And golfers as well. I mean, they're saying, okay, you know what? I'm used to having a flag stick in and I like to have it in. And, they may decide within their group that they're just not going to pull the flag stick out, but at least they have that option now if they want to have it. So it's a sense of normalcy, I think, for the golf industry. And I think it's important, the golf courses themselves have had their revenue stream has been primarily, memberships and public play. Now it lets them get back to some normalcy in their revenue streams and look forward to kind of balancing things out, because we also don't know if every public golfer is going to always come back to the game right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Memberships are definitely sold out and courses are busy, but we're starting to see the tee sheets kind of free up a little bit. So just a lot of things there that are really going to help the golf courses and help the golfers feel, quote unquote, normal.
Yeah, and you kind of alluded to the tee sheets and the green fee of the public players. I have had a number of conversations in the last week since we sort of started to get closer. We've gone through phase 2. We started to get closer to phase 3 opening. I've talked to a lot of industry golf course operators, driving range operators, and so on that are basically calling me up and saying, what are you seeing out there? What are you hearing? We're not seeing the traffic that we did see, last year at this time.
Right.
Is everybody kind of in the same boat? And I guess the short answer to that is no, not everybody is in the same boat as far as the busyness of their facility goes, but there certainly is a little bit of a trend downward in particularly maybe in driving ranges where a little less busy than they were, even though they might have a full deck across the tee deck across the range, but they might not have as many people waiting to get empty space coming in. And golf courses, I have seen, myself, I've seen a few tee sheets that are a little bit more open than they have been, the ability to get some tee times and stuff. But one of the things that I kind of said off the top of the show about stage 3 that and you are to an extent, but you do tend to play a little bit more booked golf. Everybody's playing booked golf, but I mean, for me, and you've been the same way. I like to grab the clubs after dinner and go play 9 or 5 or 6.
Sure.
And up until this point, for me at least, I can't do that. And I just wonder, do you think that are we there yet with phase 3? Are we still in that booking phase? Because I haven't really seen any of the documentation that I've read. I haven't really seen anything that says, yeah, you can just grab your clubs and go to the golf course at 7:00 at night.
Yeah, most golf courses are still going to be cautious. They're still going to be thinking about things like contact tracing, which is still going to be important, which is really what happens as far as the booking and allows them to, control their access a little bit more. So I think we're going to see that a little bit more. You might see the situation within golf courses where it's members, for an example, that they're more allowed to, come in and do that sort of thing versus public golfer just showing up without a tee time. So I would say clubs will probably move towards that within their own membership, just because they have the names of those members and they can put them onto the sheet or whatever if they happen to just show up. And the other thing too is the other part that I like to do is just to go over the golf course and chip and putt and have a practice, because you don't necessarily have 2 hours to go play 9. So maybe you just want to go over for 40 minutes or whatever. And, we have that restrictions at my home course that, we don't have practice there right now. Right. So we'll probably see some freedom in that, at least for members at courses, which obviously, courses saw the big advantage last year in that people decided, this is a good time to be a member because, it feels safer. It's a little bit more controlled. I have a little bit more options. So I would say overall, when I'm talking to golf courses, membership levels, I think, will stay high. I think it's the transient golfer that is going to settle down a little bit. Like you said, the people that are maybe going to the driving range that didn't have those options last year, they had those options last year, but didn't have other options last year with their other sports that they were playing. But, when we see now the return of things like, softball and camping and, all sorts of other activities people that have, something has to suffer. And if those people came and played extra golf last year, they're probably not going to be doing that this year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is unfortunate a little bit for the golf industry, but hopefully the one thing that all of this COVID stuff has done for the industry is it has exposed enough new people to the game. Definitely. that the golf courses that the golf industry has been able to pick up a decent amount of new golfers. This is always the thing for years and years and years and years. And I mean, we've been doing this for 25 years, and it's always been the thing with golf course operators is how do we get more members? How do we get more people to play? What do we do? Is it price? Is it the experience? And I think that the one thing maybe that everybody in the industry that's not playing the game has learned, as far as course owners and operators go, is that the price of the golf is not the relevant factor. It's the experience,
the value to that person.
Yeah. Right? So if they get all these new members and they've treated these members and they've shown how these members, what it's like to be a member at a golf course, then they'll get those members to return in whatever capacity it is, whether it's a full membership, whether it's a partial membership, whatever the case may be. They may not come back and be a full member, but maybe they come back and they buy a package. So because they've been exposed to something that, hey, I really did like this game. So hopefully we have enough of that that's happened that we can keep some momentum going into 2022, and that we don't just have a massive drop off and we end up with being able to shoot cannons down fairways at 1 o'clock in the afternoon from Monday to Friday.
I think it's a good thing. And like you said, with stage 3 starting on July 16th here in Ontario, it's just going to start to transform things a little bit. So I'm excited to look forward to it. It's going to be weird to pull a flag stick out, that's for sure. Although, hey, it's been good for us. People talking about flag sticks all the time.
All the time, baby.
It's made for
I look like an absolute genius for coming up with the name like that.
Only took 25 years to be an overnight success. So.
Exactly. All right, Scott. Let's dive into into a little bit of tournament golf. So we've had, sure. We've said before, it's our bread and butter. It's, we do a lot of feature stories and profiles and things like that. But when it comes right down to what Flagstick, is all about, the way we deliver the information may have changed over 25 years, but the information that we deliver has not.
No.
So here we are. We're middle of July. Yeah, we're still middle of July. And we just released another edition, and the tournaments that have happened and are continuing to happen are insane. I mean, what's happened in the last 7 to 9 days, I guess, in the world of tournament golf.
Yeah, at a regional level, it really has been busy, and I've seen that just talking to a lot of golfers, especially even like junior golfers, for an example, and talking to them about their schedules, whether it's OVGA events, Play Junior Golf Tour events, Golf Ontario qualifiers, Maple Leaf Junior Tour, CJGA. Obviously, with the our involvement with the flagstick.com PGA of Ottawa Tour, we've had events there, and it's just nonstop. And then on top of that, it's golfers from the region going out and playing. It's covering stuff in the north and south, and down in Pinehurst, and Canadians playing in the the US junior girls. Ashley LaFontaine, who is from our area, had qualified for that. A lot. So I don't know where you want to start with that, but I mean, obviously,
let's start with the most. I think I shouldn't say the most recent, but actually, you know what? I don't want. Let's not go down the intersection road just yet.
Cool. Let's
talk first about the flagstick.com PGA of Ottawa Pro.
Yes.
Our very own our very own Scott MacLeod and his partner in crime, Derek McDonald, got a T3.
We did get a T3. So, it's nice to go out and, not only represent and kind of play on the tour, but, obviously don't practice as much as have in the past, but you still want to play well, and you still want to go out and represent yourself well. And it was this last Monday that it was held. Great sponsorship by Cleveland's Rixon, Mint Green Group, and Nike Golf as well. We have great sponsors obviously on the flagstick.com PGA of Ottawa Tour, and it was fun to go out to the Brockville Country Club, where we'll be hosting our 2-ball championships later in the year.
Yes.
And it was neat to go there, especially with Derek. Derek used to be the head pro there, grew up there, so probably had more insight on the golf course and the greens than anyone. And
which was necessary, obviously.
Definitely was necessary. A very tough set of rugs around there, and tough hole locations. And it was just a good, fun day. Unfortunately, I had a little wobble of a putt, a little 2-footer that cost us a bunch of money on the 8th hole. That was the difference between second and third. It was probably $100 a foot for each of us.
Oh my goodness!
But we made some other stuff as well. So again, good win by Daryl Buchanan and James Spirnick in the main division, and Graham Gunn and Mark Foucault in the senior division, and a good turnout as well. And it was fun to play, and it's always nice when you can at least put a little bronze medal around your neck and say, I played okay for a media guy.
Hey, that's that means that's back-to-back chalices there for Bucky Buchanan, right?
Yes.
He's the senior champion at the Summer Open at Camelot.
Yep.
And then the Pro Team Championship with Spirnick at Brockville. Way to go, Bucky. I don't know if Bucky listens to this podcast or not, but if he doesn't, he should, because I've just mentioned his name about 3 times. So
yeah, he's been playing well, and obviously Mark Foucault won the Spring Open as well. Yeah, so those guys are playing well. There's usually a contingent of guys who put a lot of work into their game, maybe play a little bit more. You're going to have to face them when you go out there. Yeah. There's certainly no excuses. We've all played golf before, but it would, it's just nice to see. They all enjoy going out there and playing and competing. Certainly, there's a social aspect to it. It's good to see everyone, catch up with all the other pros, and see everyone. But it's also nice to compete as well. And then we have
Look what happened with Chris Barber.
Yeah.
I mean, he came into the Ottawa zone, a while back and was winning. That was back with the epic zone championship finale at Talon at Greyhawk. There was Chris, and it was Mark Foucault, and it was Luke Saunders, and it was like, it was insane. Yeah. Then Chris kind of, he got into the business side of things a lot and didn't play as much, and you didn't see he wasn't winning. You didn't see, but this year he sort of started playing more and kind of concentrating a little bit more on playing, and you can see it automatically. It shows when you start to focus on your game a little more. He's back-to-back wins, and I'm sure he'll be more than in contention come zone championship time at the end of the season. And I'm sure he'll be on my Ping Challenge Cup team of pros that aims to take down the assistants
again.
Well, I look, I'm not going to rub it in too much.
Yeah, whatever.
But,
hey, I had the trophy
sitting right over there. The trophy is right there.
I had the trophy sitting in my office for the last 2 years, despite the fact that you guys had been
I know,
champions,
but it is sitting in my office now, so I do get to stare at it every day leading up to the Ping Challenge Cup at the end of the year. Okay, Scott. The OVGA scene, I think we've just finished up a couple of major events on the OVGA circuit. So what's happened with the OVGA in the last little while?
Yeah, one of the biggest ones was the City and District Championship, which was fantastic. Played over multiple golf courses on multiple days. In the main division on the women's side, Lise Judenville, again, won a trophy, multiple time winner. Great to see her do that. I believe it was her 5th. I'll double check that. And then Phil Patterson, talking about players that are returning to the tournament scene. Mm-hmm. Has not played a lot of tournaments of late, but, he knew the first round was going to be at his home course, the Prescott Golf Club. Equinel was going to be the second round. Rivermead was the third. And so he decided to play. So he threw his name in the ring and started out under par on the first day on the home track and just kept it going the whole way through. So those City and District Championship is a historic championship. So, we're talking a century of golf, and obviously going back to our future or whatever. So, to see Phil with that trophy, and the cool part is too, he's a senior player. So he won the regular City and District as a senior player, proving that, longevity is important. Golf ball doesn't know how old you are. And, it means a lot to him. And you could see how excited he was to hoist that trophy and win that championship. And, there's a lot of names on that trophy. And, and it's neat when you see those trophies that, have history to them. It's significant. It really is. So those are 2 of the big events lately. And then obviously Intersectionals.
Oh my gosh.
They returned,
I couldn't have been more excited to hear when I interviewed Drew Lefebvre, the tournament director from the OVGA at the beginning of the year on his podcast, that the Intersectionals was back on the schedule, that the plan was for them to go forward. And then as it got closer and closer, you're just kind of crossing your fingers, and I wasn't giving you the finger. For those watching on YouTube, this is a crossing of the fingers, not a giving of the finger.
Sure.
I couldn't have been more excited as it got closer and closer to see that it was actually going to happen. And man, the Intersectionals for me, I mean, at one point we were the title sponsor of the whole Intersectional program, from the ladies, the senior ladies, the men's, the senior men's, the juniors. We started off as a sponsor of the juniors, played for the Flagstick Cup.
Yeah.
It was later renamed. We haven't been the sponsor the last bunch of years. That's been Golfamax, but there's no, my heart is still with the Intersectionals. I mean, I've been doing golf in this region with Flagstick for 25 years, and the Intersectionals has always been something that is just like, I just love it. What do you think, Scott, it means to the region and to the clubs in particular and the players at those clubs? What does it mean to them to have this event back in full force the way it is?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing when you talk to the golfers, and they talk not only about the final event and the day itself when the events happen, but the qualifying. I mean, it's a real point of pride at the club to make the intersectional team. And a lot of the clubs obviously, get clothing and stuff for their team members. It just shows you're one of the better players at the club. For that reason, it means a lot. Then you get to go and represent your club. So not only do you qualify and have that little ego boost that says, hey, I'm a good player at my club, I should be, I gained a little respect that way. But then you actually get to wear that shirt and go to these intersectionals, compete for your teammates and for your club to represent them. And, those matches, while, you're only playing, 3 players or 2 players, depending on, what division that you're in, it means that much more. And it's different than playing for yourself. And again, with the history of it, obviously the men's goes back a little bit further than the women's, the juniors, the seniors, and so forth. But, all the great players for the region, everybody who's come out of this region to, to go on to play professional golf or be the top amateurs, be a top amateur in the country, in the province, in the region, has been involved with these intersectionals and professional athletes as well. I mean, if you talk to somebody like Daniel Albertson, one of the biggest things ever for his golf career was winning 6 points, for his team. You know what I mean? That's when you talk about golf memories, these are what people have. So I think that's partly why, it's so important to have it back again. It involves thousands of golfers around the region. It is the biggest event. It's probably one of the biggest events in the country because of the scale of the golfers trying to qualify for the teams, then going on to compete in the events, plus all the different categories. So there's nothing that gets more attention. And on the Sundays when it happens, I will say they're very busy Sundays. Obviously we have a lot of the clubs, sending in results to us now with social media. Obviously they're tagging us in things, sending pictures of their teams. We try to tabulate the results live, try to post it up on our website and get going. And I mean, we get crushed with traffic on that just because people want to find out what's going on and, DMs nonstop. Have you heard what's going on over here? What's going on? Who's playing well? And I think it's just amazing. And I think there's going to be more evolution to it as well. I would love, as some people have suggested now that we're in the sort of the golf genius era, I would love to see some live scoring and some things, the logistics of it happening so that people can follow it a little bit better. But so we've had the men's and the women so far. On the men's side, the A is always the top thing that everybody looks at because, if people are not familiar with the intersectionals, you have the various divisions and then you work your way up. If you're the winner in your division, you move up the next year. Lower one goes down. It's just a ladder system that's there. So, Ritoview took it this year. They had a few rookies on the team as always. So, they got to go for a swim in the pond. Is there a tradition at their club?
That's not I realize you want to be on the team and you want to win. So, you want to jump in that pond, but nobody, I mean, even Brad Fritsch has said nobody wants to jump in that pond.
Well, and not only do you have to jump in the pond, you have to get a ball out of the bottom. That's the deal. You don't just jump in the pond. You have to get a ball out of the bottom of the pond and bring it back up. So not always great. And you know what? An exciting thing happened this year on the women's side of it. The Ottawa Hunt women actually won it for the very first time, which is hard to believe because again, the Ottawa Hunt men's team has been a contender for a long while and won the championship many times. So the women won it this year and they were kind of excited. And then now we'll look ahead to this Sunday will be the juniors, and then we get towards the end of August for the senior women and the senior men at the start of September. So still have 3 competitions to look forward to. But again, you see that pride, you see that involvement. And I think even this year, because players now had that chance to go back and do it, I think next year even they'll be more eager to go back and do that. So great to see it back in whatever format that they can do it in. Obviously not as social, they can't hang around as much as they normally could, but hopefully next year.
Yeah, exactly. I can remember when I first started the magazine and did sort of my first bunch of years of intersectionals. At the time, Joe was the tournament director. Joe McLean, I was speaking of, was the tournament director for the OVJ, and Joe would be like, now the results for the tournaments back then came to me by fax, and then I had to retype all of the results into whatever format I was going to publish them in the magazine in, and I got these sheets with the 6-pointers and the 4-pointers, depending on how many teams were in that division, and Joe was like calling or phoning the club and then relaying, it was just this, because there was no cell phone, there was no texting, hey, send me the results. It was like this one. So I was sitting by my fax machine the Sunday night waiting for all these faxes
just like I am now. Social media or phone or whatever the case may be.
One sheet after another and it was a thermal fax. I had to make sure that I got the results typed in relatively quickly because the thermal paper, the ink would wear out and I wouldn't be able to read it if I didn't do it quick enough. And my gosh, times have changed, but the intersectionals have not.
They have not. And, I guess that transition us a little bit too into some of the junior stuff, because obviously, we have a media partnership with the Play Junior Golf Tour. And here was the thing. The one thing that we haven't been able to do a lot in the last year is a lot of live coverage. Yes. There's been very much limitations at golf courses, whether it's associations or otherwise. So even as media members, we don't always get to have access. So we haven't been out covering as many events, which, boots on the ground is still the best way to see what's going on for a tournament, whether it's the stories or just the social aspect or getting to see people, talk to people and so forth. And so last Friday, I managed to get over to the landings in Kingston, and that was the third event of the year for the Play Junior Golf Tour. Got to see about 70 plus kids tee off there, run into some parents, see some kids, kids have graduated, got older, better. You can see who the prospects are and who's, probably going on to do other things. And so just in the last while, they've really got their schedule going. The previous time I was on the podcast, they had just played the Upper Canada event. Now they played Smith Falls, the landings, Camelot, and actually today, while we speak, they're actually at Trillium Wood down in Belleville. So they had started with the Ottawa section of the tour, and then now they're deep into the St. Lawrence section as well. And we've got a lot more events coming up in the next little while for them, and over 500 members now. That's awesome, which is crazy.
Good job, Chris. Good job, Chris Veltkamp.
Yeah, and you know what, they put a lot of work into it. And it's fun to see, and it's neat also to see in the events where the kids are excited, little kids too. Like, I mean, the landings was interesting because they've been doing this a little bit. They have obviously their set divisions.
They have the initiation group, right?
Right. But they also, when they have a bunch of like little brothers and sisters and whatever show up at the event, they'll put out a little front set of tees for these kids to go. They're not even in the tournament, and they're not even, so at the landings, awesome. For an example, I look over and there was a kid who was probably 4 years old, putting away on the range or whatever. And I heard McLean, a gentleman who helps out Chris a little bit, and said, "Hey, are we putting out the front tees?" And yep. And they just put out, I don't know how many holes they did it for or whatever. And the kids get to go out there and bat it around, get a feel for it, get excited about it, get involved in tournament golf. And it starts their relationship with the game that might carry through to the intersectionals, might carry through to college golf. You never know where it's going to lead. And that's just great to see. And, they've been average 70 to 90 players per field. Obviously, it's harder right now for the clubs trying to accommodate larger groups. So it's restricted a little bit. They've had a few cancellations because of, lockdown situations and stuff like that. But they're prospering despite the restrictions, and it's really setting groundwork for, another year to come as well.
No, it really is awesome, and what Chris has done with that tour, just it's so important that we create these playgrounds for the juniors. That's where they can develop their skill, their tournament skills. Because I know a number of kids that have just started playing a lot of tournament golf this year, and without tours like the Play Junior Golf Tour, where they're not all big events. Like as far as big provincial or regional championships, there are these one-day tournaments where tournament golf is a different animal, and you have to learn and get comfortable playing that in that environment. And without tours like Chris's and other tours like his, but in this region, Chris's tours, they don't have a proving ground, or a place to develop that tournament skill that makes them more comfortable going to an Ontario junior qualifier or Ontario amateurs or whatever the case may be. So, what Chris has done, and it's the reason why we jumped into the ring with him this year and said, look, we want to do this media partnership with you because we want to give the tour the exposure that it deserves. Beyond just hosting these events, it adds an element of marketing promotion for their sponsors and for the tour, and just makes it a bigger thing than maybe people think it is.
Yeah, so if people want to check that out, they can go to pjgttour.com, and then also if they have an interest in their other parts of Ontario, there is actually a cohesive website now that was, really pushed by Golf Ontario called the Junior Golf Pathway. So just Google that and look for that website. And it has a comprehensive schedules for all the junior tours in Ontario and really gives you the feel. Because like you said, they have to start someplace to work their way up. And we just had at Upper Canada this week was the qualifiers for the Ontario Junior, Ontario Amateur, Ontario Men's Senior, again, all this stuff that's going on right now. And some of the kids that I saw at that junior qualifier at Upper Canada were all kids that played on the Play Junior Golf Tour, and it prepared them to go up and play that tour. And a lot of them go back and forth right now. They go back and play, some of the PJGT Tour events, to keep themselves sharp, to kind of prep themselves. And I also see mentorship happen too, which is really neat to see. I see some of the older kids helping out with the younger kids, maybe helping them out with a little bit on the driving range, or you see them give them some guidance as far as, where they need to go and what they need to do. That makes them all more comfortable, makes them all more engaged in the game of golf, and just makes it better for everyone.
Yep, it definitely does. Now, Scott, before we wrap up having you with me this week, I want to jump into one more event.
All right,
an event that hasn't happened yet.
Oh,
and obviously we have been talking a lot about a second event that we would run.
Yep.
And we were nailing down the details, and honest truth, everybody, we're still working on a lot of the details, but we were able to finalize enough of what we wanted to do to be able to open registration, and the Flagstick 2-Ball Championships has officially been born.
Yes.
And the registration is up, and last night we got our first official registration, and it kind of seems to be snowballing now. So we kind of expected that, but let's just talk just really quickly about this event and the format of this event and why we're doing it, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, in running the Flagstick Open Amateur Championship, we've got a stroke play individual event that, has grown in stature, and, that's very important. But, we also recognize that golfers want different formats. They don't always, as we talk about the Intersectionals, they want to play for someone else or play for a different format, not necessarily just on their own ball. But having the 2-ball championship allows you to team up with another person. We've got men's divisions, women's divisions at Brockville Country Club, great golf course, which obviously we've talked about here a little bit in hosting the Pro on Monday. It's in fantastic shape, by the way. And you know what? That team event, they're going to play net Stableford over 2 days. It adds a little bit of a social element because you have that team sort of environment, and you have some backup, which is comforting for people. It is comforting, and we wanted that little social aspect to it a little bit, and having it in September as well. Good timing for the year if people are getting ready for maybe playing in a bunch of scrambles or things like that. They played a lot of individual stuff during the year, and I'm just interested to see how we go from a great format that we've had with the Flagstick Open Amateur to carrying this to a team event and having that same quality environment, all the same features with, registration gifts and rules officials, and, just have a good quality event like we had there before when we used to have the BCC Open there. They get to play for an amazing trophy, which we can talk about a little bit. So, I think that's a big thing, is a fun atmosphere, but still competitive. Something people look forward to, maybe getting together with a buddy, which maybe they haven't been able to do, and adding the women's side of it as well, which we've been asked about a lot, and we wanted to have the right event for it. And so interest has been great so far, especially on social, just introducing stuff in the last couple of days. A lot of people that are in the process right now of nailing down who their partner is, and maybe
you got to pick exactly the right combination.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was talking to a young guy last night, and he was the exact same thing. He's like, well, I've asked this guy, but I'm not sure how well we'll work together. And, so yeah, I think we'll see a big uptick in the next little while for it. And I know you're excited about it as well.
Oh, I'm super excited about it. And one of the things that excites me about it is the fact that, generally speaking, I am not a net tournament kind of guy. The Flagstick Open is split into divisions, and it's split obviously by indexes. But generally we don't split the divisions until the Tuesday before I do the draw, just because we wait to the very last minute to verify all the handicap indexes. And inevitably, sometimes the indexes get a little bit crazy.
There's nothing you can do about that, unfortunately.
It is what it is. Now, with this event being a net event, meaning obviously for those that don't know, that means that you have an index, you have to have a Golf Canada valid index. If you don't have one and you want to play in the 2-ball, pay the $55 or whatever I think it is with Golf Canada to get a valid login and stuff, so that you can post your scores on Golf Canada and get a valid index, because there is no way that we can take anybody into the tournament on the basis of, merit. We can't, because it's a team event. And
we just want it to be fair. But I think, the Stableford scoring sort of lends itself to, equating people a little bit better. Makes it more interesting too, because if somebody's having a bad hole, it's, there's a maximum that you're going to, lose as far as points are concerned. So, again, it allows, if people want to play a little bit more aggressively on certain holes, and Brockville's great for that. You've got some holes that you can try to drive as far as the par 4s, par 5s that you can go for. And I think that adds the other sense of fun, instead of dread that sometimes people have when they play stroke play.
A one handicap can play with a 15. And the two of them together have just as much chance of winning under this format as 2 1s. So it's the ultimate leveling of the playing field when you get into a net score and a Stableford system to combine together. It's the ultimate leveler of scoring. And
well, the worst thing is they're going to lose 8 points on a hole if they have a double bogey or higher, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a modified point system. So if you're looking go to flagstick.com and
look under events.
Click under events, and you'll see the 2-ball. All the details are there, and the registration. There's a link there to go directly to the registration on the official Flagstick 2-ball Championships portal page through Golf Genius. Which we've got, everything is all set up and ready to go. So you register as a team, either for the men's division or the women's division. There are no flights after that. So you either sign up for the men's, you sign up for the women's. You're going to put in your index and you play your own ball. And it's the best ball that's counted, and then the stable for points according to that best ball. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And at Brockville now, the trophy. Originally, when the BCC Open was created as part of the BMG Cup Series a number of years ago, Brockville Country Club had commissioned a Stanley Thompson trophy. So it was actually a mold of Stanley Thompson that was created for the topper of the trophy, and then we had the mold put onto a trophy base and all the plating stuff, and it was given to the winner of the BCC Open. Well, of course, the BCC Open, we stopped running the event, and then it never continued after that, and the trophy basically sat in the golf lounge at the Brockville Country Club for all this time. And then general manager of the Brockville Country Club now, Jason Walmark, approached me about, hey, what can we do to get bring this trophy back into play, do an event and stuff. And it just so happened it was at the same time that we were talking about this 2-ball event, and I just basically bounced the idea. This is what we're thinking of doing. What do you think? He's like, yeah, we're all in. Let's go. And it was like, all right, well, the hardest part of running any event is getting a dance partner. As far as a venue goes, and we got a dance partner for a venue right off the bat, and then locked up a few sponsors on the back end, and sort of figured out how the format was going to work and the pricing and what the registration gift and the prizing. You and I just chatted the other day and kind of listed out and nailed down what we wanted, how we want to structure the prizing for for each division, and what we want to see in the registration package. And now the next step is to solidify all of that stuff, and we'll have all that ready to go. Tee markers are ordered, nice orange ones and blue ones for this year for the event, and get some new flags and start doing some pin sheets and stuff. And it's just everything that we've done with the Flag Stick Open over the years, all of that knowledge of how to run a golf tournament just kind of comes to, okay, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this. And the list start checking off the boxes, and away we go. So September 11th, 12th, the Brockville Country Club will be ready to rock. 2-day event. I should let people know that too. It's a 2-ball event, 2-ball championship, but it's also a 36-hole championship. So
yes,
it's two separate days. It's not one day for the men and one day for the women. It's 36 holes.
Yeah, so, and it's going to be fun. And I mean, it's going to be fun not only to play in it, but it's going to be fun to run it as well, I think.
Yeah. So
Scott, this is for amateurs only. So
yes, it is for amateurs only. So pros, no, stay away. What's next on your agenda? What's coming up for you?
As far as tournament coverage, playing, what side?
Oh wait, there's no PGA. What's the next PGA Ottawa?
Would be the senior championship on Monday.
Oh my God.
Which I'm eligible for, but I'm not sure I'm playing.
Where is it this year?
It is Mississippi.
Stay back.
I know. I have today to make that decision. So
senior championship.
We will see if I play my first senior championship. But again, you like to have time to prepare. I think one of the things right now is that the schedule is coming so hard and fast.
Yes.
It's hard to give up days. And I will tell you this, everybody knows when they play tournament golf is that, it takes a little bit out of you. And even Tuesday, I woke up Tuesday and I'm like, man, that was hard. you know what I mean? Just
well, there was a grind too. That the course was set up a little bit tougher than maybe it should have been. But we don't want to go down that road. But and that can grind you out pretty good too when you're constantly grinding to
and it's fun. But you just, there's days are really precious this time of year, as you know, and we have a lot of other things that are happening and going on. So I'll evaluate that today and look at the schedule, because again, we have a lot of provincial championships that are starting to come up. We have some more Play Junior Golf Tour events that are coming up as well. OVGA type things. There's just a lot that's happening on the schedule. So kind of want to be prepared for that and make sure that we don't I don't dive into that and disappear when there's other work to be done as well.
Of course. And Junior Intersectionals is this Sunday.
Correct.
At various courses throughout the 613. Obviously the A will be the sort of major focus of so many people, but it's just as important if you're in Q
yes
to get the W, because that does get you that much closer to getting up into the higher divisions, which is ultimately where everybody wants to be.
Well, I think that's what you get out of it. And whether you're in the A division or otherwise, it's going and it's going and competing and winning that division, because you get that honor of kind of moving up. So really important that way. And we're working on a bunch of other things. Obviously, you're busy with this podcast. We're also busy on the T-Talk side of it as well. Getting ready for kind of the next shows and things as well. And we're going to start to get into some new equipment stuff too coming up.
Nice.
We're getting into that cycle of things. We're starting to see stuff that's being introduced out there. There's lots going on. And definitely on the website too. We're staying busy there. People have to, if they can follow us on our social media, that's the easiest way to keep track of a lot of the smaller things. We certainly have a lot of things that are happening there that maybe don't always translate over to the flagstick.com side of it. Maybe it's just notifications of players advancing, Canadian players advancing in a match play at some tournament or things like that. But just trying to stay on top of it, which is always the hard part this time of year, and not letting anything significant get past you. But certainly a lot to look forward to, and obviously working on the next editions of Flagstick as well.
Exactly. It does not slow down.
It does not. So, and who knows? Maybe there'll be some travel coming up at some point too.
Oh gosh, I hope so. I hope so. I hope something. I was actually talking to my wife about Patricia about a possible road trip this fall, but we'll have to see. I'm kind of
maybe a PEI pass, and you can
Yeah, I'd never say no to going back to PEI. I can tell you that. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens, and as the rest of the season progresses and where we stand come fall time. But well, Scott, listen, thank you. As always, it is a pleasure to have you join me on the podcast. And I was telling people earlier that sometimes depending on what we're driving around doing, it could be a 45-minute to an hour-long phone call conversation in the car. So this is not really anything. So that's not really that difficult for us to jump on a podcast for 45 minutes to an hour and talk about golf, because it's kind of what we do every day anyway. So, but thanks very much for jumping on and sharing some wisdom and some insight. And hopefully you do get a chance to play in the senior championship, but if you don't, obviously I understand. Enjoy the rest of your week, and enjoy the weekend, and enjoy the Open Championship, of course.
All right. Well, thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate that, and happy to jump back on anytime.
Awesome. Thanks very much, buddy. Well, as always, I love having Scott on the podcast. Like I said, during the show, Scott and I chat an awful lot about pretty much everything golf and everything not golf, really. That's what friends do. But we talk a lot, and getting on the podcast and chatting is not really that difficult for us. It's a pretty normal occurrence. We just happen to throw a video camera on each one of us, and everything we say goes out to the masses instead of privately inside my car. But thanks again, Scott. That's awesome. And I feel up to date. I hope you do too. I hope you feel up to date on all the happenings, the tournament happenings. And if you've ever played in the Intersectionals, as we talked about, it's extraordinary to be part of it. And hopefully next year, once we get back to the real normal for golf tournaments, the spectators come back too, because I guarantee if you've ever, I've been to a number of the different divisions of the Intersectionals before. The A is sort of the one that really does garner a lot of attention. But if you go out to the C, the D, the E, the F, you'll see the members are out watching their fellow members participating and cheering them on. Being the host club is a big deal. Although it's nice to go and play another golf course when you're playing intersectionals. If you want to win, it's nice to be on your home club. Trust me, there's no question about that. Just ask Rita of you if they do very, very well when they host. That's for sure. They do well when they don't host, but they do very well when they do host too. So, all right. As always, during this part of the podcast, we like to try to help you out with your golf game a little bit. And I guarantee every round of golf we've ever played, none of us have ever had a perfect lie, especially around the greens with every single shot we ever have. If we did, chipping and putting, or chipping would be really easy, little pitch shots would be easy. But on this little quick tip from our good friend Kevin Heem at the Kevin Heem Golf Center is the secret to pitching from bad lies. And Kevin's going to help he's got a little secret that he has, and it's one of his favorite greenside chipping tips. So check it out right here.
All right, golfers, time for another quick tip and a favorite specialty shot of mine. You can see I'm in a real mess here. I actually stepped on this ball practicing, and I'll show you how to hit it out. If you can't get your golf club on a golf ball where the lie is so bad, here's what you do. You don't try to hit the ball. You actually open the club face quite a bit and open your body like a bunker shot and just try to hit a couple of inches behind the ball, just like in the sand. And if you do that, that ball will pop right out of there and land softly. It's an amazing shot. It's a shot you'll use a lot if you get lousy lies on the golf course, but you got to practice the lousy lies, not just the good lies. That's another little bonus tip for you. Here we go again. We open all the way up. That ball pops right out of there. Try it next time you're practicing.
As always, no surprise that he makes it look so easy. I mean, if you're watching on YouTube, and I do encourage you to do that because the videos are much better. The things that we do on the podcast are much better on YouTube than they are on the audio. But I understand, watching versus listening is sometimes a little bit easier, but it comes across well in the audio side of it too, as far as what he's doing, actually hitting a ball from stepping on a ball and then doing what Kevin's doing and pulling it off. Now, as Kevin said, you have to practice this stuff. You can't just take the tip into your brain and go, oh, I remember when Kevin said this, and you hit 2 inches behind the ball and you end up laying sod over it. You got to practice these shots because it takes there's a lot more to it than just listening and doing. You've got to practice. If you want to get better at something, you got to practice, and guarantee you golf is no different. If you want to get better at golf, you have to practice. And I don't practice at all, ever, never. And I'm okay at the game, but I'm pretty sure that I, like most people, could be a heck of a lot better if I actually put some effort into it. Well, that's it for me. I'm really glad that everybody that you've tuned in to watch or to listen to another episode of 613 Golfer podcast. Thanks to Scott MacLeod for spending some time. As always, I love having him on the show, but he spends, it's a good chunk of the show this week with Scott on there, and I really do appreciate that. So thanks, Scott, for that. Thanks, Kevin, for another awesome, great tip. And as always, thank you to our sponsor, Ping, for their continued support of the 613 Golfer podcast. Once again, if you haven't had a chance to try these clubs out, go try them out. At the very, very least, do yourself a favor and learn more about them at ca.ping.com. All right, I'm Jeff Botter. And if you're liking this podcast, and I hope that you are, and judging from some of the amounts of downloads and so on that we're getting, like more YouTube video watches. So come on, people, subscribe to the YouTube channel. So if you like what you're listening to, subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Visit flagstick.com. You can listen to every single episode that we've ever done and every single episode that we post when we post them. You can also watch them because we do post the YouTube videos directly in the posts on the website, or you can click through the YouTube channel and watch them on the YouTube channel. I do encourage, once again, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I think you'll do yourself a favor if you do. And when you do, make sure that you like us and click that little bell to make sure that you get the notifications whenever we release a new episode of 613 Golfer podcast. You're going to get that episode notification. You won't miss anything. We don't want you to miss anything. Why would you want to miss anything? All right, once again, I'm Jeff Botter. This has been the 613 Golfer podcast, brought to you by Ping Golf. And always remember, go for the stick.